rejected the verdict of the minority on 3 of President Akufo-Addo's ministerial nominees who failed to pass the NDC MP's test as Parliament's Appointments Committee.
3, we believe that there are major issues. We cannot support their nomination, and therefore they have to go to the floor for possible voting.
We have more as the minority accuses some of the nominees of lying under oath and defers decision on 5 other ministerial nominees.
We are in agreement with 22, so they are going by consensus. And then we have 5 that we believe we need further and better particulars.
That's coming up on Top Story, brought to you by Vodafone. The future is exciting. Ready? Gasem, the nation builder, and Bill Aqua Mineral Water. Tonight, the verdict of the minority is out on 3 of President Akufo-Addo's ministerial nominees. They have been rejected after they failed to pass the NDC MP's test at Parliament's Appointments Committee. The 3, including Information Minister Designate Kojo Nkrumah, Fisheries and Aquaculture Minister Designate Hawa Kumsin, and Agriculture Minister Designate Dr. Owusu Efriye Akoto. The decision was taken earlier today at a meeting held by the minority to vote on the nominees. The minority also decided to defer its decision on 5 other nominees for varied reasons. They include Health Minister Designate Kweku Ajiman-Menu, Communications and Digitization Minister Designate Esla Owusu-Ekufo, and Attorney General and Justice Minister Designate Godfred Yeboah-Dame, among others. We'll bring you more details, but first listen to Minority Chief Whip Mutaka Mubarak, who confirmed this exclusively to Joy News.
After vetting the first 30 nominees, largely the ministers of state with just one regional minister, we are in agreement with 22. 22, we don't have any problem, so they are going by consensus. And then 3, we believe that there are major issues. So we believe we cannot support their nomination, and therefore they have to go to the floor for possible voting. And then we have 5 that we believe we need further and better particulars. If the further and better particulars are provided adequately, then obviously they will also have issues. But where those further and better particulars are not properly provided, then we may not be able to support their nominations.
But what are the major issues you'd say with these 3, for instance, that there should be a consensus,
well,
and the other 5?
Like I told you, that I'm not going to speak much on this, and I'm sure the report of the committee will be laid tomorrow in Parliament, and most likely be taken Wednesday or Thursday. And I'm sure all the details will come out.
Well, earlier we heard that it included the health minister designate, the information minister designate, and some others because of some documents that you had asked for them to be provided. Are these the names?
I'm not giving you any more details. I won't say yes, I won't say no. I'm sure when the details are out, you get to know who are the 3 who are going to the floor for them to be voted upon, and then you get to know who are the 5 that we expect more from them.
Okay, but generally though, what are your thoughts overall? What will be your assessment of the 30 that you've vetted so far?
Well, let me say that yes, the vetting this time has been more intense. I mean, thanks to the general public and our teamwork, trying to delve more, and public providing more information. Maybe because this time they believe the nature of the parliament is such that there's possibility of truly holding people accountable. So maybe the public has been more forthcoming with information. It is our only hope that this government, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with the Supreme Court ruling. The government, if the Supreme Court gives them the go-ahead to continue as a government, will be more responsible. I mean, we will also hold them more accountable. One thing that we keep promising, we will not be reckless, we will be responsible, we will act in the best national interest. At all points, we are guided by the national interest, we are guided by our oath, and we will do the very best that we can to continue to make them proud. But obviously, we are not going to be reckless in the things that we have to do.
That's the Minority Chief Whip Mutaka Mubarak there. I spoke to him a while ago. So what exactly are the issues that inform the minority's decision on the 8 ministers designate whose nominations have now become a subject of debate? My colleague Winston Amwa and Deputy Head of our political desk joins us on the line with additional details we've picked up from our sources at the Appointments Committee. Remember, the NDC has also issued a statement capturing portions of this issue as well. I'll take you through them shortly. But Winston, let's start with Fisheries and Aquaculture Minister designate Hawa Kumsin. When she appeared before the committee, this is what she said about the shooting incident in her constituency last year.
I will also want to put on record that yes, there was a name of a polling station there, but it did not happen at the polling station. It happened outside the polling center, about 150 meters away that it happened. And I still say I regret for that. It's under investigation. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My follow-up questions have more or less, been answered in your answer, to the extent that I was going to ask whether, with the benefit of hindsight, if the circumstances played out again as it did on that day, would your reaction be the same as it was on those occasions? Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
No, Mr. Chairman.
And given your repeated assertion that this matter is under investigation, what will you say to the committee if it is decided that a decision on your nomination be deferred until investigations into this matter is over?
That's not a question to ask her.
So that's what transpired, Wednesday. What's the minority's concern exactly? It looks like this matter is key to the minority in this decision to approve Madam Hawa Kumsin. Let's talk about the concerns really that they have about this particular matter.
Well, so according to our sources in the minority, now their concerns are that one should not be cleared gun shooting incident. They don't even believe there's any investigation going on, and she's also being accused of reigning terror in her constituency.
Well, so it's emerging that she's one of those that the minority are hoping not to approve her nomination. Have they been saying more from what your sources have been telling you?
Well, as you've mentioned, the minority has already talked about the 3 persons. They are not going to be, approving those who have been rejected. But based on the sources that we have in the minority, when it comes to Mavis Hawa Kumsin, these are the reasons why they are rejecting her.
Okay, so let's come to Information Minister Designate Kojo Ponkruma. I recall the committee quizzed him on his links with financial organization Oval Market Finance and media organization MX24. Listen to what he said.
Managing Director, West Brownstone Capital. Is that the name? An earlier answer, you said that they didn't have any liability, outstanding liability with over microfinance.
No.
Is that what you said?
Yes.
Is that for a fact? Because you're under oath.
Yes.
Well, there's information from Bank of Ghana that indicated that they have their outstanding of 212,751 point something. Is it accurate?
No, I would contest that, and I would believe that if this is information that you desire to verify, I'm sure the Bank of Ghana can verify whether this is true or not.
But you are also a majority shareholder in the OVA Microfinance.
Yes, that's what I referred to. My company was a shareholder in it.
And did you borrow from Unibank?
Did I do what?
Yes, the operations of the OVA Microfinance.
Did I borrow from OVA Microfinance?
The OVA Microfinance borrow or took any loan from Unibank or Unisecurity?
I would not have the full details on who they took a loan from.
But you are 82% shareholder in there, right?
Yes, but there are directors and managers who run the organization, leader.
And if you, before that company could take a loan, obviously the directors will have to be in the loan. And you are a director.
No, shareholder.
You are a shareholder. And you are the lion shareholder because 82%. And you think that if they are going for a loan, you will not be in the know?
Leader, in their ordinary line of business, they used to raise liabilities to create assets. They would not come back to me on every single one of those.
Are you aware that they have defaulted in payment of that loan that they took from Uni Bank, Uni Security?
No, I'm not aware of that.
Who is Kwame Oponkroma, the chairman of Uber Microfinance?
That's my father.
That's
my father.
Oh, that's your father. Okay.
So, Winston, what's the minority's reaction to his responses?
Well, so according to the minority, this was untruthful. The committee.
Oh no, we seem to be losing Winston Amwa there on the phone.
That owns about 80.
Winston, you have to reposition yourself. I lost everything you said along the line. Let's try again, Winston, as you reposition yourself. You've been telling me about the minority's response, in particular to Mr. Oponkroma's responses. Hello, Winston. Okay, so it appears that we've lost Winston Amwa there on the phone. But I would also hear from the Agric Minister designated, Dr. Owusu Efriyakoto, who was quizzed by Muntaka Mubarak on the cancellation of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority horticultural contract. This was his response on the matter.
The Ministry of Food and Agriculture had an agreement with the fruit exporters, I've forgotten the name of that they give to the fruit exporters. And that agreement was signed on behalf of the ministry and the government by the late Deborah, Honorable Deborah, who was then the Minister of Food and Agriculture. I'm not aware.
Will you be surprised if you are told that this contract is still in force, that has been signed by Gapoha and Fruits Export Terminal Ghana Limited?
Mr. Chairman, nothing surprises me in this world.
As the Minister designate for Food and Agriculture, if approved, will you want to see this concession terminated?
I am yet to be approved by this committee, and I'm not prepared to make any comment or speculate on any action for my future.
You are the Minister, you are the representative of the President at the Ministry of Food and Agriculture currently, and as we speak, you still have some authority of the President to act within the ministry. Will you want to see this contract or concession agreement terminated?
The instructions are that I'm just keeping the fort, not to make any commitment, financial or otherwise, in this capacity as acting in the name of the President. So I cannot.
So that's the Agric Minister designate. We're told is one of those that the minority have actually rejected their approval. We've heard excerpts of that of Hawa Kumsing and also Mr. Oponkroma there earlier. So my colleague Winston Amwa is expected to join us so that we do some more analysis. He's been picking more information from this particular sitting and also the minority's view on this particular issue, on why they've rejected them. We've been listening to the minority whip in Parliament, Muntaka Mubarak, telling us more about the situation. It's expected that the report will be tabled later tomorrow, and we'll hear more on this. But these are the names that have been put out. But there are 5 others, and as you heard the minority chief whip say, the decision on their nomination has also been deferred because they want them to clarify some issues that came up during their vetting. We'll start with Attorney General and Justice Minister designate Godfred Yeboah-Dame. He was grilled for several hours on issues ranging from Gregory Afoko to the PPA scandal and the prosecution of former Tamale MP Inusa Fuseni. Let's listen to Godfred Yeboah-Dame. So Winston Amwa has joined us back on the phone. So Winston, I pray we have a better connection to your phone this time around. So we are boxing that of Information Minister Designate and of course Greek Minister Designate and the minorities' concerns they raised about them in particular.
Well, so when it comes to the Minister of Information Designate, Kutu Oponkroma, the minority said he was untruthful to the committee. They were untruthful in the microfinance issue. Thanks to the fact that he owns 83% shares in Over Microfinance and it was engaged related tax lending. And based on these concerns, the minority checking him to now they say he authorized the cancellation of DPHA horticulture contract on 11th January 2021, when the mandate, they had no mandate to do so. Now, the minority said they had no mandate to do so. This is likely to cost the country $50 million judgment debt. And they also accused him of lying under oath when he said he didn't authorize the cancellation letter.
That I have a bit of a better connection before we hear from the health minister designate, which is among the 5 that they are deferring their nomination. Let's tell me exactly what the minority's concern is when it comes to the health minister designate. You've been finding out also.
So when it comes to the health minister designate, the minority say they're holding him responsible for the Frontiers deal, and so they would want clarity on that particular deal, and hence the decision to defer his approval. Emefa.
Well, and then also the Communications Minister and Digitization Minister designate Eslo Usokuful also came up. That's also, and we also have the Roads and Highway Minister designate Mr. Mwakwata. We can box them together and tell us what their concerns are.
So when it gets to the Communication Minister designate Eslo Usokuful, now she's been accused of the closure of discriminatory closure of radio stations and also flaws in her responses to questions concerning the LNG deal. And then the Roads Minister has been accused of signing the motorway extension contract without authorization. They want him to return to clarify these issues.
Okay, and how about the former Energy Minister and now the Railways Minister designate John Peter Apawu?
Now, in the case of John Peter Apawu, they say his responses to the PDS matter were unsatisfactory. They need clarity. And also his denial of involvement in the beating up of the bailiff in the South matter is one thing that they need clarification on.
Well, that's my colleague Winston Amwa. Thank you very much for that details that you brought us on the appointments committee. So 3 rejected, 5 have been deferred. We can hear from the health minister designate Kweku Agyemang-Menu's responses to some questions that was posed to him.
Earlier in your answer to the Frontier Health Care Services Limited at the Kotoka International Airport, did I hear you say that that services was procured by the Presidential Task Force on COVID?
Yes, I did say so.
Are you a member of the Presidential Task Force on COVID?
Yes.
So if you are a member of the Presidential Task Force and you were going through this contract, are you saying that you didn't know the details of the contract that was being given out or that was being done?
Honorable Chair, the Presidential Task Force was actually started by me from the ministry, the early stages of the onslaught. I said I was creating an interministerial committee. But then the first 2 meetings I called, my colleagues wouldn't come. So I told the president that he should take over that interministerial committee to enable us engage. And that created the Presidential Task Force. Okay. Then the task force, a very large thing.
I don't dispute that. I mean, was the task force was going to embark on an health project?
We had separate functions for separate groupings and committees within the task force.
And are you telling this committee?
And there was created the
Minister, if you let us have a conversation that those listening to us and we in the committee can follow, it will be useful. And you are telling this committee that as a Minister for Health then, and they were procuring a health service at the airport, you were not in the known.
Yes.
Well, so that's the health minister designate Kweku Agyemang-Menu there when he appeared before Parliament's Appointments Committee. Also, I've told you about the other 5, which includes John Peter Apawu, the Railways Minister designate, who was also the former Energy Minister. He was also quizzed on the PDS issue and also his involvement in the assault of a bailiff. And that his responses to that did not satisfy the minority group on the Appointments Committee. There was also Eslo Swekofo, the Communications and Digitization Minister designate. The committee quizzed her on the closure of radio stations as well as the Kelmy GVG issue, and for which reason they've had to hold on with her approval as well. There was also that of the Roads and Highways Minister designate, Amwakwata. At his vetting, the issue of a motorway extension contract also came up. But last week also, we got the opportunity to speak to the Majority Chief Whip, Alexander Afenyo-Marking, and he raised concerns about the decision to be taken by the minority side on the Appointments Committee. Listen to excerpts of that interview that I had with him.
My apologies. But briefly,
you think I'm used to? Please withdraw that.
I withdraw and apologize, Mr. Afenyo-Marking. I was hoping we could have a very nice interaction tonight, so that
well, you didn't start it well.
Okay, I apologize. We'll leave it here. Thank you so much for your time.
That's so
Mr. Afenyo.
My sincere apologies there. We'll bring you that interview. He has concerns with the minority's decision, and he feels that the minority came with a preconceived mind to the entire sitting. But the NDC also issued a statement a while ago, amongst others. They mentioned that they had a meeting, the National Executive Committee meeting of the NDC held an emergency meeting in Accra today. The meeting discussed a wide range of pressing issues of national interest, and the meeting discussed, among other things, the ongoing vetting of ministerial nominees, and urged the NDC Parliamentary Caucus to be firm and resolute in their duties on the Appointment Committee. So it urged them to reject insincere apologies rendered by some of the nominees at the vetting committee sittings and hold them responsible for their actions and or statements which violate the obligations imposed on public office holders by the 1992 Constitution. The meeting also goes further to note that with concern, the clandestine activities of some security agencies which have embarked on the arbitrary and malicious arrest and detention of citizens for exercising their right to free speech on social media. It urged Ghanaians to rise up against the creeping culture of silence and dictatorship being imposed on the nation. Now, the NEC also noted with alarm the letter written on behalf of the Judicial Service of Ghana through its lawyers, Sorry at Law, to some media houses which sought to censor their duty to hold public institutions, including the courts, accountable for their actions. We note that the letter from the Judicial Service seeks to limit the right to free speech and press freedom to mere praise singing of the judiciary, even in the face of several unjust rulings from the Apex Court. NEC holds the view that the Judicial Service has no right or authority to threaten anyone, much less the media, for performing their constitutionally mandated duties. Now, there are clear procedures laid out in our laws for dealing with specific infractions of media ethics and law. We find the letter from the Judicial Service an affront to free speech and press freedom, which threatens the pillars of democracy that the people of Ghana have nurtured over the years. We condemn it in no uncertain terms and call on the Judicial Service to withdraw same without delay as a sign of respect for the democratic culture of free speech and press freedom. So that statement, which is signed by the General Secretary of the NDC, also goes on to say it is the expectation of NEC that good sense and love for country will prevail, and that the Akufo-Addo government and other institutions of state will henceforth abort any plans to terrorize the citizens of Ghana in order to suppress dissent and quell demands for probity and accountability as enshrined in the 1992 Constitution. It finally says, as Ghanaians await the verdict of the Supreme Court on the election petition, NEC urges all NDC members and supporters to remain calm and resolute, and says that it is the prayer of NEC that the Supreme Court will uphold and promote probity, accountability and transparency, and give effect to the will of the people expressed on 7 December 2020. In its judgment on the matter, the party will on its part stop at nothing to rid the Jean Mensah-led Electoral Commission of its partisan biases and prejudices and ensure transparency and fairness in national elections. That's a statement signed by the General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia. Well, we have details of that because I've been interacting with Thaddeus Sorry, lawyer for the Judicial Service. Extensive interaction we've been having with him. That's coming up shortly on Newsnight, but we've been talking about the verdict of the minority on 3 of President Akufo-Addo's ministerial nominees, including Howard Kumsin, that's the Minister Designate for Fisheries, also Mr. Kojo Ponkroma, Minister Designate for Information, and then also Dr. Ifri Yakoto, Minister Designate for Agric. 5 others, their nominations have also been deferred. We're expecting that report tomorrow, and we've been interacting with the Minority Chief Whip, Muta Kamubara, giving us that exclusive details on the minorities' decision. That's it for Top Story, brought to you by Vodafone. The future is exciting. Ready? Gasem is the nation's builder, and Bill Aqua Mineral Water. I'm back shortly with Newsnight.